Yeah.
Do you want to rehash this first round real quick? We actually ended up making one change after we recorded that I never really care that much because mock draft is generally a crapshoot based on, it's a crapshoot of one, what players you think are really good, two, what you're hearing from what you're able to hear from teams, which oftentimes can be smoke screens, and then, just a little bit of everything in between. I made one little change in the back end because I just felt like this would actually make a lot more sense with the Red Sox pick, but we'll rehash 1 through 14. And one thing real quick before we get into it, there's a lot more smoke on the Dylan Cruz not going 1, standpoint. I think some sports books that offer lines are offering a plus 180 bet on Dylan
Cruz plus money. Yeah.
Cruz's plus money. I think that's mostly because more mock drafts have Skeens. Though I just want to talk about this quickly because the way that we put it out was like, don't overthink it. It should be Cruz. And I stand by that. I really do. I think that what we're seeing now, and this happens every year, and maybe Skeens does go 1. There's a world where it happens for sure. I feel like Cruz, the Boris client, and the guy that is going to command the full slot value at $9.7 million. If you're Charrington, aren't you going to at least kind of try to plant some seeds of, hey, like, we're not afraid to take somebody else. Yeah. If you say, oh, we're all in on Cruz, we're not thinking about anything else, that's that. You're playing right into Boris's
overslotting.
lap.
You're going to give him 10. Yeah.
You're playing right into Boris's lap. So, I mean, we've seen in other instances, though, Austin Martin slides a little bit because of what he was Boris' client, what Boris was kind of asking for. But also there were some red flags that I had. Maybe some other teams saw that too. I don't think I know more than they do. So that could have been a reason why too. I think it's a little bit of posturing. I think it's a little bit of, hey, look, if you're not going to budge, we'll take one of the best pitching prospects we've seen ever. We're fine with that. Or even Wyatt Langford. If you can save $1 million and change and get Wyatt Langford, I get it. I wouldn't do it, but I get it because that Pirates mold has worked for them. If really like they're not budging and Boris is giving them a headache. But again, I'm not overthinking this. It's not worth the savings unless I'm legitimately saving $2 million and Boris is giving me the biggest headache of all time, which you're not saving that with Skeens. And I doubt you're saving that much with Langford. I'm interested to see how it all plays out. A lot more at hand beyond what we see on the baseball field. But for me, I stand by no brainer. Take Cruz. Don't overthink it. Just give him the full slot and take the safest bet.
You say a little bit of posturing. I say a lot of bit of posturing. I think that this is almost cookie cutter. Like, agent wants to demand full slot. Pirates want to make him feel less wanted. But like, we know what the Pirates want. We know what Boris wants. We know what Cruz wants. It's all so driven in the pattern. And we've seen this with so many guys. And, like, unless you're totally sold that there's a player that is comparable, if not better than Dylan Cruz in this draft, like, I just don't see a world where anyone holds a candle to Dylan Cruz.
Yeah,
right
I
now.
saw Kylie McDaniel said he likes Langford better than Cruz.
I firmly disagree with that.
I understand maybe from an upside perspective, if everything clicks with Langford, he's a little bit more physical, a little bit more projectable. They say he puts in better run times, but there's just a knack for hitting that is a knack for hitting.
And there's a knack for playing center field at an elite level. Yeah. And there's a knack for swiping bags. Like, everything is there, dog.
Yeah. So we'll see. But the last thing I'll say is I think it's interesting that this was not a conversation even a month ago, really. We weren't hearing much about it. And then as we get closer and closer, so we're getting more deep into the negotiation times that precede drafts, now all of this smoke comes through. So we'll see.
To be honest,
the order.
Yeah, no, I think this might be a nature of the beast with the MLB draft, though, because like nobody wants to focus on it until Omaha's done. And that is exactly when the conversation started.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, like, people got to put out different mocks, I guess, they got to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
1 is Dylan Cruz for us to the Pirates. 2, Washington Nationals take Paul Skeens. 3, Detroit Tigers take Wyatt Langford. 4, the Rangers take Walker Jenkins. To me, that should be the 4, and it shouldn't be very complicated, but it always is. 5, Twins take Kyle Teal. Save some money there. That was our assumption. 6, Oakland A's take Chase Davis, save a ton of money. Outfielder out of Arizona. I think that could be a really interesting spot to save. I think somebody's going to use Chase Davis for savings.
Yes.
7, Reds take Rhett Lauder, right-hander out of Wake Forest. Talked a lot about why we think he's easily number 2 in terms of arms in this draft. Some people like Dollander. I'll play the safe route with Rhett Lauder. 8, Kansas City Royals. They're happy. Max Clark falls right into their lap. Outfielder from Franklin Community in Indiana. That's a guy that has been floated at 1. So that'd be a nice snag there. 9, yeah. Rockies take Chase Dollander, right-handed pitcher from Tennessee. We know the skills there. 10, Marlins save some money a little bit, maybe not as much as people would expect, with Matt Shaw, likely to move to second base from Maryland. Big time power there. 11, Los Angeles Angels. They take the best prep arm in the draft, Noble Meyer, right-handed pitcher out of Jesuit. Then you have number 12, Diamondbacks take Hurston Waldrop, use that pick to save some money. I think that could be an interesting spot there too. They need some arms, save some money, good spot. 13, Cubs go with the biggest upside prepster, I think, in this range outside the top 10. It's Arjun Damala out of Strawberry Crest, shortstop. And then at 14, this is where we switched it, because the more I thought about this, the more I lean this way. Red Sox, everything I'm reading, everything I'm kind of hearing is they want the best college bat possible in terms of high floor and also, a little bit of the ceiling. We had Jacob Gonzalez mocked there initially. A big part of Gonzalez's appeal is the glove and, just kind of the well-roundedness of his game. I don't think they care about that as much. I think they want more of the bat. So we swapped it and we got Tommy Troy here. I think Gonzalez might be the better all-around prospect at this stage, but Tommy Troy is the better bat, elite bat-to-ball skills. The more I dove into the numbers, zone contact is phenomenal. Second baseman out of Stanford. I think that might be the pick for the Red Sox there. Climbs quickly, safe bat, really solid player.
And can probably adjust elsewhere. They have what seems like the middle infield of the future coming up, and Marcelo Meyer and Nick York both in double. And then you've got the middle infield of the present right now with Trevor Story, Yu Chang, Kike Hernandez, Bobby Dahlbeck. Nice. Tons of traffic to work through for Tommy Troy to surpass Bobby Dahlbeck as the future shortstop of the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, you forgot Alberto Mondesi too.
Yeah, true. Mondesi, is he healthy?
No, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately out for season, I believe.
Damn.
15. And this is kind of where this is going to be college range for most of these next few picks, but a couple high schoolers mixed in. 15, the Chicago White Sox. They have a slot value here, 4.4 mil. I really think when you have a system like the White Sox, a couple of their top offensive prospects have been banged up all year, which stinks. I love Brian Ramos. I love Colson Montgomery. But those guys have been kind of a lost year for them. They went pitching last year. I love the Noah Schultz pick. He looks really good. But I think you got to hit with this pick here, especially with where the White Sox are at. They're going to make some trades. They're going to replenish the farm. And I think you got to nail this draft to try to expedite this rebuild process. I think you go safe here. And I think you get a safe bat with Braden Taylor, third baseman, TCU. Defensively a bit limited, but this isn't like a Jacob Berry situation. I think he's more athletic than Jacob Berry in the field. And I like the bat more than Jacob Berry, who the Marlins took at number 6 last year. How would you feel as a White Sox guy? Because you follow the team more closely than I do. Taylor is someone that could go in the top 10, could be an underslot guy for sure in the top 10, but I don't think you'd save that much. I think he'd be full slot here for the White Sox, and I think the White Sox would be happy if he fell into their lap.
Yeah, man, I like it. Like, who is the college bat that you have in the system working its way up right now? Like, I don't think
Literally,
there is one.
It's starved for one. That's an excellent point.
You know what I mean? So, like, the guys that you are hoping, turn a corner in this system position player-wise, Brian Ramos, that was an IFA guy. Colas is up. Colson Montgomery, high school draft pick. Jose Rodriguez, IFA guy. Lenny Sosa, IFA guy. Like, there's nobody that screams safe, high floor college bat. Vaughn is already there. Sheets is already there. Like, those are the guys that they took, and they're already up there.
Yeah.
Are they really good? Not particularly.
No,
but you need some of these guys to add to the fold. Braden Taylor, I really like. 184 games at TCU. Not only 48 pumps, but 39 for 40 in the stolen base department. So this guy's a nice blend of power and enough speed and a high efficiency base stealer. Efficiency doesn't really go away. Some guys get faster, some guys get slower. But in terms of base running acumen, if you got it in college, you're going to have it in the big leagues. And I think that Braden Taylor is a guy that, may have a tapped ceiling. Like it may be a lower ceiling than some others in this White Sox organization already, but that floor you gotta add.
Yeah, and I think there's a fun offensive ceiling here as a guy that has a decent field to hit, slightly above average exit velocities, can motor a little bit, like you mentioned. Maybe you put him in the outfield. There's a few other spots you can put him, but the bat is what you take here. And I feel like this is a bat that's gonna climb pretty quickly. Struck out around 18% of the time, hits the ball in the air consistently. Chase rates are palatable. It's just a solid snag here. A good left-handed bat.
Yeah, 100%.
Moving on to the next pick. A couple guys that we had slide. We had 2 Jacobs slide, and they're going to go very soon here. 16, San Francisco Giants take Jacob Wilson, shortstop from Grand Canyon. This is a tough guy to peg because I do think that he's going to slide. I think it's very possible he slides, but that slide could also manifest its way into not necessarily sliding where you're selected, but sliding with your slot value. Because if he thinks, oh, okay, yeah, I'm starting to realize I might not get taken in the top 12, top 13 picks. Maybe someone calls at number 11 and says, hey, will you sign for this? And they take him. So maybe he's not there. But I do think that there's a world where if he stays steady on the slot value, he wants the full slot. I think teams may go other directions. They may be concerned about the upside here, and they go with somebody else. Wilson, I think this is kind of the floor-ish. I would say right around 16 to 18 is the floor for the 2 Jacobs. You can't deny the numbers. He doesn't swing and miss ever, like ever. I'm sure you have the strikeout numbers in front of you. The exit velocities are very underwhelming, and that is something I'm concerned about. I mean, below average exit velocities with metal and in a very hitter-friendly environment that doesn't impact exit velocities, but does impact power. There wasn't much power. He very much needs to go to his pull side for that power. Pete Flaherty put me on to Jacob Wilson a little bit more when we had him on because he seems to be a little bit higher on him. There is projection here. He's 6'3", 185, 190, so maybe he can put on some more muscle. But I feel like the San Francisco Giants would be happy to get a really solid, high-floor player, college bat here at this point in the draft if he falls to them.
He played 48 games with Grand Canyon this year. Last 38 games, how many times do you think he struck out?
One.
He had a two strikeout game against Texas State on March 7th. That accounted for 40% of his strikeouts.
Yeah.
192 plate appearances. This cat struck out 5 times. Now, might I tell you that he also walked 19 times. So he doesn't walk. He doesn't strike out. He just slaps the ball around in a middling conference in college baseball.
That's my concern.
That's scary. Like I'm with you. 400 is 400. I get it, but like in the whack, I don't know.
Look at what Nick Gonzalez did out there.
Yeah, like Nick was just objectively better than this, and it's crazy to say that objectively better, but like he was, man. Do you have Nick Gonzalez?
Nick had numbers? Some growing pains in professional ball. Like there's it. That's the thing is like our team's going to be a little bit. That was a concern around Nick Gonzalez, and it seemed to be at least somewhat fair,
validated. Yeah,
and valid. And what's ironic, dude, is Nick Gonzalez's exit velocities were relatively similar, a little bit higher, slightly higher.
Yeah,
so, and he was getting into the power more, better environment, but also just slightly above that, and just drove the ball with more authority. So it's tough. It's definitely a tough one. I wouldn't want to take somebody like this in the top 15, top 10, but at 16 falls to you if you're the Giants. I think you're cool with this pick, and he can climb quickly. They need some more middle infield depth through the system. It worked well for them to take somebody like Casey Schmidt, who flew up very quickly. Mm-hmm. I think this is still someone's going to take him. around this range. And the bloodlines, teams love that. And I just can't see him sliding much further than this, but I definitely see him sliding.
Yeah, no, he's a good player. I'm not sure if you take somebody with this kind of profile in the top 10. I don't think this is a top 10 pick. I like where you have him in the 15 to 20 range.
Yeah, absolutely. So next pick is the Baltimore Orioles. And they can, I feel like with where they're at, I would expect them to go high school, especially after they've gone college over the last couple years. And like now it's just getting too busy in high A and above. I would go as much upside as I can and go with somebody in high school. And I think that's exactly what they're going to do. I think they take either Aiden Miller or Colin Houck. We went with Colin Houck here, the true shortstop from Parkview. I think this is just one of those situations where I like Colin Houck. I think that the Orioles draft as well as anybody. And this is just going to be them taking, I think, what they perceive to be as the best player available. It's either going to be Colin Houck or Aiden Miller here if they're both available. And I think you can't go wrong with either. Houck committed to Mississippi State, big dude, 6'2", 190, some projection there. Rocket for an arm, staying power at short, good field to hit. I think there's some power projection. Georgia Prepster, those guys just have a higher hit rate. I think this would be a great snag here.
Yeah, like they don't need anything. They have far and away the best system in baseball, and they're all in the upper minor leagues.
Yeah,
I like your idea of adding to the lower levels, of adding, one of the best complex prospects that we've got. Like, I don't know, man. Like Holiday already knocking on the door of double is absolutely insane.
Something I could see them do. Yes, it absolutely is. I could see them underslot an arm. I could see them go with like a Bryce Eldridge, another player who's just super interesting and they can be patient with.
Or like a Thomas White.
Could see them go with the Thomas White. The beautiful thing is I think this is one of the most unpredictable teams because they're in such a fantastic spot. And they can kind of go anywhere here.
Yeah.
Next pick, Milwaukee Brewers. And this was part of the reason why we adjusted it too. I think Jacob Gonzalez is such a good fit for the Brewers. They could use some more middle infield depth. And I feel like this is kind of the Sal Frelick situation where Frelick falls because of some impact questions and eventually falls right around to this range. And it's just like, okay, this is a really good player. Let's just take him. And I think that's exactly what the Brewers would do here is you have Jacob Gonzalez, a perceived, potential top 10 guy fall into your lap, really advanced field of hits, a little bit of an unorthodox swing that I don't love, but the contact rates you can't deny, staying power at short, kind of fits the bill of the kind of guys they like to look for. And I think can climb pretty quickly.
His game is very similar to Terang.
Yes.
Very similar to Bryce Terang. And they clearly love Terang. They just recalled him and they optioned Luis Arias. So I think they're looking for some depth there. Freddie Zamora just didn't work out for them. I think that Jacob Gonzalez is a great opportunity to almost like replace Zamora or add another, somewhat like backup plan to Bryce Terang.
Yeah, it's funny. I think Zamora is going to fight his way into being some sort of utility piece, but I think they were hoping for more than that. And I think that's a great point. Like Zamora, you're looking at him as more depth. And now, okay, who's the middle infielder that you're looking forward to? Maybe there's some flyers at the lower levels, but this is one where it's just like, I think they're taking the best player available, but if he happens to fit like a glove, then all the power. Like, let's do that too.
Yeah.
19, this would be a blessing for the Rays, and I just feel like it's just going to work out this way. They take Aiden Miller, third baseman, who out of high school. Miller is one of the high school guys that I've been able to dig into more than some others in terms of access, video, information, whatever. I don't know if he falls here. I really don't. And if he does, the Rays are going to snag him. The price tag might be a little high, but I think this is a situation where the Rays jump on the price tag. We've seen them not stray from power projection high school guys, even if there's some questions about the hit tool. Miller's got juice. He's got room for more juice. And I think he could grow into well above average power. Think about the guys that they've drafted. Xavier Isaac, all about the power and the power projection. You look at what they've got in terms of their shortstop in high A, where you got Carson Williams, who's power and more projection there too. I think this just kind of fits the bill for them. Some teams may kind of stray away because he's not a shortstop. He's more of a third baseman. But damn, draft a bat. Rays draft a bat. They did it with Isaac. I think they do it here with a guy that if he falls here, rich get richer.
Yeah, and it's already a pretty big dude in high school too. Like just watching the way he kind of commands himself. He was the All-American Game MVP, I want to say, at Dodger Stadium last year. So like even at that point when he was a junior in high school, going into his senior year of high school, he just looked like a big dude. Third base makes a lot of sense. We've talked about how they don't need any more help. Don't care. Add the bat to the fold and see what rises to the top, man.
Yeah, and this is a team that's like, again, you could underslot the arm if you wanted to, but if Miller's there, you're taking the bat. And I think that they've been in on him. So that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
20. This is another team that I think that they gotta drill this one. They do, and I think that's why they go college bat. And we have the Toronto Blue Jays taking Yohandy Morales, third baseman out of University of Miami. This is a bit of a slide for Yo-Yo. I love the nickname Yo-Yo. A little bit of a slide for him. I think there's some red flags in the profile that will cause some very, I would say, very model-driven teams to maybe stay away or let him fall a little bit. But if you're the Blue Jays, you can get, I think, the highest upside college bat here. If it's not him, it's Nolan Shanwell. But I think in terms of power projection, Morales is a freak. He's 6'4", 220. And wiry still somehow. Like there's more in there, but he's aggressive. There's a bit more whiff than I'd like to see, but that might be a byproduct of the aggression. 30% chase rate this year in the ACC, but the dude almost hit 400. Yeah. Right? Was it 393?
No, he hit 408.
Oh, he hit 408. So I'm missing a couple games here. I mean, that plays. So this is probably the floor for Morales. I could see a team getting excited and snagging him, but the Blue Jays, I think they'd love to get somebody, a solid college bat in the fold here with Morales. They've gone high school arms recently. I think this would be a nice change of pace.
I was going to ask you, like, model-driven organizations may be concerned by some red flags. Like, what are those red flags? Is it just the whiff?
I think it's a little bit of the whiff. It's a little bit of the aggression. And then, where's he going to play? Yeah. I think he can get by at third, but he's big. He might slow down a step. But at the same time, you've got, and also the ground ball rate, 50+% ground ball rate.
And in college, you shouldn't be doing that.
No. And I think the levers are long, and that can cause him to kind of get a little steep to it a little bit, and kind of roll over it or get in and out. I think aggressive hitters tend to have higher ground ball rates too, because you're putting B swings on balls that you shouldn't be swinging at. I think with the right tweaks, this guy could go nuclear, but there's some risk here for a college bat. That's why I think back half of the first round is a perfect spot for him. And the Jays, they need to hit this. So you could go with this. You could go safer. Like, remember, Bradfield's still on the board. They could go Bradfield, but I think Morales makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah, I think he makes a ton of sense, especially with, again, hey, do you account for big league talent and all that? Like with Chapman coming off and likely commanding a higher price point than you're going to give him if you plan on extending Bichette and Guerrero soon. I think that you probably want to add more of that to the fold than speedsters in the outfield, because you can find speedsters in the outfield. They just traded one in Samad Taylor at last year's deadline to get a 34-year-old speedster in the outfield that somehow weaseled his way onto the All-Star roster. So like, I think they would jump at the opportunity to add some juice, and they can do it here, especially with Barger. Is Barger their best hitting prospect by a good bit?
I would say probably at this
Elvis.
Elvis has kind of had this nice resurgence, which is cool to see. But I think their system's so weak that, and they've drafted bats recently, drafted arms recently.
Yeah, add a closer proximity.
Add another bat with a little bit more proximity and go with that
for sure.
Next pick is a team that, they're struggling at the big league level. We just talked about Mason Wynn though, and what they've been able to do draft wise. And I think they drill the draft. I think they're not afraid of volatility, but they seem to find the volatility that pans out for them. I think it's a little bit of scouting and a little bit of development. And I think this is a perfect spot for Bryce Eldridge to go at 21. And the St. Louis Cardinals, it just makes a lot of sense. Right around the range where they were able to convince Jordan Walker to forego his commitment to Duke, which was a very strong commitment. Remember, both parents went to Ivy League schools. Duke is a wagon. He wanted to go there. It took a lot. It took a high price tag.
So
I think
how about the bomb that he hit on Wednesday?
Oh my gosh.
Dude.
The one to go ahead against the Marlins.
Yeah, top 9.
I mean, dude, I'm a Marlins fan, and like I watched that and I was like, I was pumped. That was like cool.
That was so
that was electric. He looks really good. He looks really comfortable, and I'm pumped for him. But remember, Jordan Walker, legitimate pitching prospect. Mason Wynn, legitimate pitching prospect. Alec Burleson, legitimate pitching prospect that ended up kind of being lesser of a pitching prospect as he got closer. But I do think that they like these multifaceted athletes. And Eldridge is a guy that wants to do both. He might do both. But I think the Cardinals like drafting guys where it's like, all right, let's see what you're better at. You can try and do both if you want. If one falters, we'll go one direction and pick the best one. And I feel like they like doing that. So I think Eldridge is a perfect fit. I think this is right around the range where he could get taken. He could get taken a little bit earlier. And they like to go with the big upside, full price tag high school guys. And I think this is a perfect spot to do it.
And they're hitting on him like you're talking about. Like Walker, I think Jordan Walker was immediately full steam ahead with the bat. Mason Wynn, like they gave him some opportunities. Like I think he closed a game out in high A when he first
I tweeted a video of it, of him throwing like 99 and closing a game out.
Yeah. So Eldridge is being tabbed as the Shohei Ohtani of this prep class. We got to stop tabbing.
We got to stop doing that,
Ohtani's man. Of.
We got to stop doing that.
But he does have legitimate two-way aspirations. I think Eldridge is pretty close to Reggie Crawford with what I've dove into in that regard. Like Reggie Crawford is a guy that can, give you an inning out of the pen after he DHs. I think that could be Eldridge moving forward. Or he could turn into a right fielder with an absolute rocket.
Yeah.
And he's a big guy that, can turn into a great prospect. And we know how the Cardinals are at player development.
I like the wide range of opportunity, especially to your point with the way that they develop. I think that's perfect for them to snag here.
Yeah.
22. I don't think you're going to find a mock draft out there with Bradfield this late, but the Mariners, they take Enrique Bradfield out of Vanderbilt. Bradfield's been a guy that has been discussed for a long time because of the way he hit the ground running, quite literally at at Vanderbilt as a freshman, and has played an integral part in Vanderbilt's success since he stepped foot on campus. But I really have a lot of concerns about the way this guy's game is going to translate to professional baseball. I know there's some projection in his frame, but when is he going to start putting on some weight? He's going to be 22 soon. He's not the youngest guy. He's one of the older college guys, I'd say, relatively in this draft. Bat to ball skills are good. I mean, 90, 89% zone contact, but the exit velocities are meh. The production this year was poor for a guy that fast with that kind of feel to hit. How are you hitting sub 300 in college baseball? I know we don't draft results, but with hitters like that, I'm a little concerned. I just don't know here, man. This is a guy that at 22, I'm thrilled. At 22, I'm definitely thrilled to snag Enrique Bradfield. This is more, I think, me justifying us having him fall to 22 here to the Mariners, who have several picks. And they can give him, if he's like, I'm only taking an over slot because I should have been drafted earlier, they can do that. I just don't know. It just seems there's something that rubs me a little bit the wrong way. He struggled on the Cape in a limited sample there. I'm just waiting for the results.
Yeah, I'm waiting too. And my thing is like, I guess I would be a little bit less concerned about the 279 if this wasn't far and away his worst year of college ball. You know what I mean? Like, he was caught at a ridiculous rate compared to what he did. He was 46 for 46 in 22. He was 37 for 44 in 23. How do you get caught like that? He was also the focal point of the offense this year. I'm not sure that he was last year because he shared that lineup with Spencer Jones and Dominic Keegan, who were each 1,100 OPS guys. So I think that he was probably given more stuff to hit, which is why he was at 317. This year, like Vandy, yes, they won the SEC tournament, but they were not the class of the SEC like they are every single year.
Yeah.
Bradfield was the guy in this lineup. And I think that if college pitching staffs can game plan for you and hold you to a 280 clip, yes, he got on base at over a 400 clip. But if they can game plan for you and hold you to 280, I'm concerned about your ability to hit in pro ball, where it is literally these pitchers' full-time jobs to figure out how to get you out.
And my other concern is he's like borderline passive. He doesn't expand the zone, which is fine when you're that kind of athlete that can get on base and make things happen. One of the lowest chase rates in Power 5, but guys are going to come right after you, especially when they know you can't, you're not much of a threat to leave the yard. So what do you do when they come right after you? Can you consistently put the ball in play and spray it? Maybe. And I mean, there's a world where this guy's a phenomenal baseball player.
Yeah.
But I think there's too many concerns to have him in the top 15. But, we'll see. I know the Mariners would be ecstatic to get him here at 22, though.
Yeah, for sure.
23, Cleveland Guardians go with a bat. Nolan Schanuel, Florida Atlantic University. This dude's numbers are video game. And I know it's not the best conference in the world out there with the Owls, but it's still good competition. And Schanuel can just hit. He simply can just hit. It's a really sweet swing from the left side. Yes, he's a first baseman, but I feel like for the Guardians here, so many middle infielders, they always hit well on those guys. They do great with the pitching, but this is just an opportunity to take a really sound bat who can climb quickly. And I think a lot of teams will be targeting in this range. The Yankees have been rumored to be in on Schanuel. I could see several of the teams in this range wanting Schanuel. Guardians, I think, jump in and make the selection here for a guy that barely whiffed and has some sneaky pop.
That's the thing. Is it sneaky? He hit 19 homers this year. He slugged 868.
Yeah.
I know Conference USA. Yeah. I know he's seeing, but I don't even know who Conference USA is. Western Kentucky. Like for guys that are seeing Western Kentucky and UAB, Schanuel dominated. And, if you're worried that he doesn't fit the Guardian mold, yes, he does. He punched out 14 times in 289 plate appearances. He walked 71 times, by the way. So that you immediately get discipline. They traded their two plate discipline juice guys in Will Benson and Nolan Jones, both of which are working out pretty well. Will Benson working out really well in Cincinnati. So I think that the Guardians may be kicking themselves for getting rid of Will Benson. And they could be looking at a Benson type replacement here. He's not as physically gifted as Will Benson, but the profile seems, I don't know, loosely similar to Will Benson.
So, and if you want to talk about competition, this is kind of fun. Small sample size theater, but he played 6 games against the University of Miami and University of Florida. How many home runs do you think he hit in those 6 games against the University of Miami and the University of Florida?
3.
7.
He hit 7 of his 19.
3 in one game against UF, which was the runner-up. This is a good team.
That plays.
That will absolutely play. And is it their A team? Maybe not, but it's good competition. So he performed against good competition. He performed, I think, pretty much everywhere. Decent numbers on the Cape, not phenomenal, but decent. That's fine. And talk about the guy that everyone's game planning for. You're game planning for Nolan Schanuel if you're playing Florida Atlantic University.
And he's still at a 615 OBP.
And they've produced plenty of legit talent in professional baseball and up into the big leagues at Florida Atlantic. So don't sleep on the Owls over there in Boca Raton. 24. Atlanta Braves take Thomas White, left-handed pitcher out of Phillips Academy in Massachusetts. White's going to be a popular name. I think he's the top left-handed pitching prospect prep-wise in this class. And might be the best southpaw period. Am I forgetting somebody? Is there a college southpaw I'm forgetting? Not that I can think of.
No, I don't think so.
So, I mean, White's got a really good feel to pitch. I know the Marlins have been in on him a little bit. That's a guy that they're interested in. But I think they need to go with the bat. White's been up to the mid-90s, I think up to 96. As a 6'5" lefty at 18 years old, he's kind of fits with the same mold of like Brandon Barrera and some of those guys that were kind of picked in this range. The Braves have continuously taken those arms, in this spot for the most part. And I think this is a spot for the Braves to kind of flex their muscles, take probably the highest upside arm remaining here between him and Charlie Soto and just roll with a really good southpaw here that I think they've done a great job developing prospects, period. And this would be probably the highest upside prospect they've drafted in a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Now, the other lefties that jump here are Cameron Johnson, who was another high school lefty, and then Joe Whitman. Joe Whitman, a lefty from Kent State that I really like. I had the chance to call one of his games.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, no, I like this pick, and I don't know. They could use some high ceiling guys. They could use some arms.
Yeah, I mean, they get the most out of so many other guys. They'll cook in the other rounds, but let's swing for the fences here, Alex Anthopoulos. And this is a guy that already has a good feel for a breaking ball, has mixed in some changeups. White could be special. Again, I could see the Marlins underslotting him at 10. Like, that wouldn't surprise me, which I wouldn't mind that either, even though they need bats. I could see a team like the Brewers taking him. I could see a team like the Angels taking him.
I could see Baltimore.
I could see Baltimore. This is a guy that could range anywhere from 10 to 25 to 30. So it should be really interesting to see where Thomas White lands.
Yeah.
Moving on to pick number 25, the San Diego Padres. They go a bunch of different routes. They'll probably do the right thing because they draft so well. They've continuously drafted well. We have them taking Ralphie Vasquez, first base / catcher. And I think some teams may stray away because high school catcher and what comes with that, that territory. This kid's from Huntington Beach, California. He is really impressed on the high school circuit out there. He's really advanced for a high school bat. And I think this is just going to be one of those where AJ Preller sees an advanced high school swing, a guy with big time projection, and has a chance to stick behind the dish. You hope he does, but kind of lets the concerns about that, allow him to steal a guy in the back half of the first round that can really swing it and has a lot of upside.
Yeah, even if he doesn't, Velasquez is cut from a similar cloth to Xavier Isaac. He doesn't have like the juice that Xavier Isaac has, but this is around the point where the Rays, made the grab of Isaac. This is around the Tristan Casas point. Like, you're hoping that he just turns into one of those guys that is a true first baseman, or a Soderstrom guy that is catching and you're just waiting for him to move to first, but the bat plays at any level and it continues to elevate him. Southern California is a tough place to hit if you're a high school hitter. And this guy, from the numbers that I've found on Max Preps and other places, he figured out how to hit in Southern California.
That's the thing. Feel to hit for a big dude, power projection. They aced Merrill. They aced Wood.
Snelling.
And I like Vasquez. They aced Snelling as a pitcher. I really like Velasquez. And that's part of the reason why I think they take him, just because I'm like, if it's a guy I'm high on that I think that'll do well, I'm going to mock him to the teams that I think nail those kinds of players, or I'm wrong. So we'll see. But I like that. I love that pick there for them. And that should be a really fun player. 26, the New York Yankees take a somewhat hometown kid. Doesn't totally count, but I'm sure his family grew up a Yankees fan or something. Yeah. Sammy Stafora, shortstop from Cortland, New York. That's closer to where you and I went to school than to New York City. But that it's easier for them to get out there and see him. The Yankees have been tied to him. They have seen plenty of him. This is one of the helium guys that I don't think was seen as a first round guy going into June, and now is really aced some workouts, really good tools, good wheels. They're saying potentially plus run times, good arm, staying power at short. And the bat is, the competition in the Northeast is not great, but I think you're seeing the bat come along. I think the swing, from what I've been able to see, looks pretty good, and there's a lot of room for projection physically. This just seems like a Yankees pick here.
Yeah, they took the Jersey kid in Volpe. Why not do it again?
Yeah. And he's acing workouts. They've probably gotten a lot more in-person looks at him than maybe some others, given that he's, in their neck of the woods.
Yeah.
I think this could be a snag for them.
I think Cashman loves the narratives, and I think that this is an excellent narrative where he probably grew up a Yankees fan, and he's got a photo of him at Yankee Stadium, holding a sign that says Yankee fan today.
His favorite player was Derek Jeter. We'll bring him back out again when he debuts, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of narratives, Jack, one of my favorite narratives has been the Philadelphia Phillies taking arguably the top prepster every year in terms of pitching. And they could take one of the top prep arms here. Charlie Soto, right-handed pitcher out of Florida. And also they took a guy out of Florida and Andy Painter.
Yeah.
Soto's out of Kissimmee, so a little bit further north. Really hated tournaments out there, by the way. Hottest place on earth.
Yeah. Swampland.
Oh yeah, yeah, just landlocked too. You're in an oven.
Yeah.
My shoulder used to usually it always hurt, but it used to hurt a little extra when we had the Kissimmee tournament in summer ball. I'd be
Gotcha.
like, yeah, I need a tournament off, and it's flaring up.
Gotcha.
But Soto pitched out there. It's hot, and he's probably got all the athleticism in the world. But no, seriously, the fastball is electric. He's 6'4", 200 pounds. One of the younger guys too. Still 17 years old on draft day. I think there's more room in that arm for, I think, upper 90s as he continues to fill out and just get stronger. The Phillies, they need to go upside. The system's kind of starved. I'm sure Dombrowski's going to subtract from it. You just saw Griff McGarry, didn't you? Recently? No. Who did you see recently? No, you saw Gordon Graceffo. I always mix those.
I saw Graceffo.
And they're opposites, which is so funny. But Griff McGarry, kind of volatile guy, has kind of stalled out a little bit. I think that Charlie Soto adds, another just really exciting arm into the fold. You got Abel, you got Painter. Now you add Soto into here. I would love them to take the top prep arm. I could see them go with a bat here, but I think this is the best player available, and he happens to be a guy at a spot that they like to draft a lot.
Yeah, the pencil stash is in with Charlie Soto. He committed to it fully.
Ooh,
so I can appreciate a high school kid with a pencil stash, and that's what Charlie Soto has going on.
There we go. I love
that's
it.
That's my deep cut analysis of Charlie Soto.
Next up, we got, who do we got? 28th pick, Houston Astros.
Last one of the first round.
And then, since we're already going long, I'll just highlight a couple of my favorites that we have labeled in the compensation round. Of a couple of the teams that we said we're saving for their pick. Might as well highlight who we have them using the savings for. But this is a spot where you could go a lot of different routes. I think Astros go with a prepster this year. They went college last year. They're kind of all over the place. I think they really just go, this is a model-driven team too. I think they just go with the shortstop Walker Martin from Easton, Colorado. Not a lot of Colorado guys that you see out there, but this is an area where you find an under-scouted player that they may like more than others. And Martin's got a lot to like. And again, these kind of under-scouted players can be steals or it could backfire. A lot of times it ends up being steals. And Colorado has not produced a lot of professional talent. That's for sure. But I think this guy's really impressed on the showcase circuit. He's really impressed against high level competition. It's 50s to 55s across the board. And it just seems like the kind of player that I could see the Astros snagging here at the end of the first round.
Yeah, no, I mean, it looks like he already has a really good build too. It's 6'2", $190, and like a chance to grow a little bit more. So I can appreciate big bodied shortstops, and if the bat is as good as what people are saying late, this can be a great pick.
So real quick, we'll fly through the rest of them without breaking them all down. You can add on who you want to add on, Jack. But Mariners are back-to-back picks here. I think that if Bradfield falls to them, one of these two prepsters that we have going to them is probably not going to work. But I could see them going under slot with the first pick and then going over slot with one of these two, or they could underslot one of these two picks because they have 29 and 30, one from J-Rod and then one of the compensation picks. Blake Mitchell, catcher from Sinton, Texas. A lot of people are really getting excited about him and what he can do. I think if they can, meet his price tag, that's a guy that could go there. And then we had 30, Kevin McGonigal. It's so hard for me to say that one. I don't know why. Shortstop / second baseman from Pennsylvania. I'm not sure what their price tags are going to be. Odds are it'll be hard to get all three, but I do think they can snag one of those two guys with just the amount of money that they have to play with 3 first-round picks, essentially.
I've heard excellent things about Kevin McGonigal as a high school hitter, so this would be a great candidate in the comp round.
And it fits kind of the mold of what they did with Young, just getting a really nice high floor high school bat that everyone seems to love.
Yeah.
31 Rays, Colton Ledbetter. I just think that's a perfect fit for them. It's the kind of player that they look for in that range. Outfielder from Mississippi State. Great data.
It's like Brock Jones again.
Yeah. It's like Brock Jones, but better. I like him a lot more than Brock Jones. We had the Mets go with Josh Noth, good arm. Brewers go Brock Wilken, third baseman from Wake Forest. That's, kind of the opposite. They went, kind of cap ceiling offensively. Now you go with the high ceiling offensively, but where's he going to play defensively? Marlins user saving on Cameron Johnson, who you mentioned, left-hander from IMG. I would love to see them do that because they love to go with the pitcher usually in this area with their compensation picks because they do so well developing arms. And this is a perfect spot. Get a guy with a funky slot that's up to the upper 90s, Florida kid. Great spot to snag someone there. Dodgers go Johnny Farmelo. I just love the bat. I think he fits the mold of what they look for. Tigers go Brandon Sproat. How fun would it be to go UF? They go 2 Gators. They've seen a lot of Sproat because they've been scouting the hell out of Wyatt Langford. Probably can save a few bucks here with Sproat. They've done well on the college arms. Usually the last couple of years, I love the Ty Madden pick. That seems to
Madden looked
well.
awesome last night, by the way.
Did he? He looks really good. I think Sproat kind of similar. They like to go with the college arms. This is a solid college arm. Reds go Jack Hurley, outfielder from Virginia Tech. I think they'd be really happy for him to fall to them here. That's just the best player available. And then Oakland using their mega savings to take a guy that I think by the time it got to 30, people would be thinking Dylan Head, not signable anymore. First round talent. Nope. They saved a bunch of money with Chase Davis. Dylan Head, we're meeting your price here. Outfielder from Illinois. That's a way to maximize your draft capital there. I think it would be awesome if they could get Chase Davis and then Dylan Head. Instantly 2 of the best outfielders in your system.
Yeah.
All right. That'll do it for this episode. And nothing else on this mock draft. Look out for the full breakdown with the write-ups on justbaseball.com. The mock draft should be out in the coming days. Conversation with Kobe Mayo tomorrow. Definitely excited about that. Then we'll finally do the Mariner system next week while we're in Seattle. So that should be pretty fun. Conversations with several different guys in the futures game and a lot more stuff to look out for with our coverage from Seattle. Jack, any final thoughts?
I don't think so. College heavy through the first 14, and then a lot of high schoolers fill in the gaps, 15 through 28, and some college sliders too. Impressive that Bradfield fell to 22, I'd say, but there are some gems with high school guys that are being raved about, and obviously our looks are much more limited on the high school guys than they are the college guys, but I can appreciate the high school guys that we chatted about.
100%. Looking forward to draft day. We'll be doing a live stream and coverage on that as well. I saw some questions about that. Keep your eyes out for Twitter, and we'll let you know in one of the last episodes we get in before the draft to let you know what we're doing on draft day. But keep your eyes peeled on Twitter and on YouTube, and we'll keep you updated on that. So always, thank you for listening. Look forward to talking prospects with you very soon.